everybody, and welcome to this process video of that fun Halloween project. First of all, when I got the idea for this loop, I opened up Photoshop and started to draw. I always like to start sketching on paper, or in this case, using Photoshop. Immediately, I can see what works and what doesn't work. Here, in this case, I designed up to 3 different pumpkins until I was happy with one of them. After that, I opened up Illustrator. Very simply, I just drew plain shapes based on my drawing with the pen tool. Super important, I separated each parts of my characters on different layers so it would be easier for me to create shapes in the After Effects. A tool I use all the time that can really step up your process if you're not familiar with Illustrator is the Shape Builder tool. This enables to merge different shapes or to remove some of them to keep only the intersecting parts by pushing down the Alt key or the Option key on a Mac. Once I get all my layers separated in a comp, I can start animating. Here for the bottom of the cloth, I used a straight line in shape layer, on top of which I added a zigzag effect from this menu here. Then using the alpha channel of the layer, I obtained this wavy look. For the animation, it's a basic position keyframe until the wave can be looped. For that, I clicked on the looper option from the panel of Duik Basel, a very powerful tool that enables you to loop an animation in just one click. It's only in After Effects that I actually gave my illustration its style and its grainy shadows. I used the techniques shown by Ben Marriott in his tutorials. Here with keyframes on the shapes of the ghost's face. Same goes on the path of the body to follow through the motion of his reaction. Simple rotation, position keyframes on the arms. In the main comp, I used basic position keyframes. Quick reminder, right-click on the position property and tick the Separate Dimensions option. I keyframed the rotation as well to add a little of anticipation, and there we go. And now we have our evil pumpkin chasing out this poor little ghost. For the pumpkin, I applied the same styling with the grainy shadow. Here I animated the shapes with 2 values only. Because the work was a little more tedious, then I parented those values to a controller with Duik. You can check my previous tutorial of a simple head rig to see how to use controllers with Duik. On a separate controller, I triggered the animation of the mouth opening. This way I could control the rotation of the head and the opening of the mouth separately. I created a basic position animation here for the hat. I duplicated the shapes I needed for the eyes and the mouth, on which I applied tints and CC radial blur to create these spooky rays of light. Now, back in the main comp, I animated the jump of the pumpkin. I created the bounce with keyframes on the scale and helped the anticipation with the CC bandit effect. The juice of the pumpkin is based on simple shape layers, here with scale and opacity keyframes, and here with the stroke and the trim path. On the background, it's an illustration made of shapes on top of which I added a layer with particles, set on a wide emitter on a very low birth rate, with an inverted gravity so they kind of fly. Now for the stars in the sky, I created a polystar shape. When you create your shape, you can hold down the up arrow or the down arrow on your keyboard and it will create a different amount of branches. And then you just play with the inner and the outer radius of the shape. Now the bats are created with simple shapes that I distorted, then I animated the path of the shapes and added an up and down animation. Setting my speed graph properly and overlapping the keyframes, I got this convincing flight for my Halloween scene. A very important thing that doesn't show in the time-lapse is the storytelling. The life and the character I wanted to give to my animation. We could go on for hours about storytelling, conflict, emotions, etc., but you can also play with basic principles such as contrast, for example. Contrast is all about showing oppositions, conflicts between different ideas. It breaks the expectations and adds an element of surprise and fun. In that case, the contrast and the element of surprise comes from the fact that the ghost is the one actually being scared, when we usually expect ghosts to be the ones supposed to scare us. He comes up first in the animation, starts to fly away ready to scare the hell out of the kids during the Halloween night. But instead, he's the one running away from this clumsy pumpkin. If you start to add character and contrast to your animations, not only in the design, then you start to tell a different story, to convey emotion, mystery, fun and surprise. Alright, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And thanks for the support. See you next time.